I have an absurd amount of foam scraps in my workshop, so I'm making an epic piece of modular diorama terrain. But there's a catch. I'm not allowed to use any special equipment. That means no Hotwire cutter and no airbrush. So if you have some of this and these, you can follow along with the build that I'm going to show you today. I already finished the front side of the build, but I'm going to show you exactly what I did here on the back side. That way you get to see the full technique and I get a fully finished 360-degree diorama. Sounds like a win-win to me. I mentioned earlier that I'd be using scraps for this build, and the cool thing is all of the pieces I'll use today are actual scrap pieces from other projects. Even this large piece, which is a leftover from when I created this terrain base. Most of my scrap pieces are these long strips of varying sizes, which are perfect for a layered terrain build. I start by simply hot gluing these foam strips in a somewhat horizontal orientation. Hot glue won't give me the strongest hold, but it does dry incredibly fast and will keep things in place so I can carve my terrain, which I'll be doing with this, a cheap box cutter. If you've seen my channel before, you've heard me say you need to have a new or newly sharpened knife for diorama projects. For this kind of project, it's not an absolute necessity. You'll see why in a few minutes. For now, I use the knife to slash and score the foam strips of this diorama. I start by doing this in a single direction, but it's good to mix and match the cuts from other directions from time to time, like you see here. Next up, I start texturing the foam with a rolled up ball of tinfoil and a real rock from my backyard. Notice the pressure cracking that happens in the foam as I roll and press my texture tools on it. This is exactly what I want. Now I'm going to use the 10 most important tools in my arsenal, my fingers, to peel and break off fragments created by the slashing, scoring, and texturing that I just did. The result is some really cool looking rock texture, much more realistic than anything I could have carved solely using a knife. And on a macro level, this is the kind of result that can be achieved on a giant terrain rock wall. Now I'm going to cover this entire thing with a Plaster of Paris paste made of plaster, water, Mod Podge, and paint. But unlike some of my other terrain builds, I'm not going to glob this stuff onto the foam wildly. I'm going to use a small paintbrush to apply it, which will help preserve all the rock textures I carved into the foam. This is a large piece and Plaster of Paris hardens rapidly. To combat that, I periodically add some more water to my mix and stir. This step is technically optional, but there are two reasons why I like doing this. The plaster is going to make this way more durable, and I'm going to be able to spray paint this diorama. If you don't know, most spray paints eat away at XPS foam. So in order to protect my work from being destroyed, I'm going to add this plaster layer. More on that in a minute, but first I need to let this thing dry. And once it did, I used this Rust-Oleum Slate Gray spray paint to prime the piece. And then off camera, I used this automotive primer to add a zenithal highlight to my rock wall. Normally, my approach would be to airbrush this, which would knock out the paint job relatively quickly. But because of my self-imposed challenge, I'm hand painting this entire thing, which I am doing exclusively using paint washes of these colors. Spoiler alert, hand painting this is going to take a very long time. In case you're wondering, all of my washes for this project are strictly Vallejo paint and water. I paint the piece working from the top to the bottom using my darkest color first, Burnt Umber by Vallejo. I'm going to do several coats of each wash, which is going to help me build up my colors in a subtle way with some incredible color variation once complete. It actually feels more to me like I'm staining the piece than painting it. The more watered down my paints, the more coats I need to apply to get my desired color scheme. That said, I didn't do any precise measurements here. I just eyeballed it and judged if my wash was too thick, too thin, or just right on each coat. After I feel I've applied enough burnt umber, I move to a slightly lighter shade, Vallejo Flat Earth. My goal is to get some wash into all the different crevices I created when I carved this up. The paint will settle naturally with gravity as I work my way down the piece, which will add some realism to the diorama mountain. Now it's time for my next color wash, which is Vallejo Ochre Brown. In my opinion, this is the step where I really start getting where I want to go in terms of color, which you can see here in this shot. I hit this with 2 coats of that color before turning to my final color, Vallejo Desert Sand. This time I took my terrain piece outside and painted my 2 final coats. I did this for 2 reasons. One, I wanted to ensure I was getting a better sense of my colors. I feel the sunlight helps with this more than my overhead workshop lighting. 2, I wanted to make sure I didn't miss any areas. The sun has a way of exposing imperfections, so this is something I usually do as a type of quality control. I let this dry, and then it's time to seal this to protect all my hard work. My sealer of choice is Minowax polyurethane spray. I spray it from 6 to 12 inches away and make sure I cover the entire thing. And now that my rock wall is done, it's time to put it to use. I made this rock wall to work with all of these other modular desert terrain pieces that work perfectly for action figure display and photography. And when you pair them with these Vasco Toys Ultra Board backdrops, you can create some immersive worlds for your Star Wars figures, Mythic Legions, G.I. Joe, Dragon Ball Z, and really any action figure line you have. The cool thing about doing rock wall terrain pieces is that they work with multiple scales, like you see here. They'd also be the perfect upgrade for your favorite tabletop game. No matter how you use terrain pieces, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope that you'll try and build something like this for yourself. As you can see, you do not need any specialized equipment to make this kind of terrain piece. I hope that you'll subscribe to the channel so that you can watch more of my tutorials and keep up with future projects. And if you liked this video, you're gonna love this one.
Vasco Toys, action figure dioramas and props.